Welcome to the practice. We've got interesting warmth currently spreading around, and with that we will have a bit of a mix of warm, cold, movement, stillness. And having said that, we do not need any props necessarily, but if there's anything that allows you to be comfortable, that's a good choice. Let us begin lying down on the front of the body. And I suggest a crocodile. So you might bring your elbows out to the sides, stack your hands, rest the forehead onto stacked hands, and then let your elbows drift out a little bit further so the shoulders are beginning to soften. If this is stressful because you've got shoulder injuries or issues today, there's never a need for an explanation, let alone to me or to yourselves at all. Just being aware of what's going on in the body rather than getting too deep into the thoughts, just acknowledging. Once you're feeling your arms in the right position, it feels a bit more effortless in the upper body, then do please touch the big toes together today and let the heels roll outwards. And for a little while, just concentrating on that touch of your big toes. It is a quite subtle thing, yet it is attached to the physical body. And with that, to one of our layers that we are enjoying, let's say, as human beings. I'm talking about the Koshas at the moment, the different sheaths out of which we are made or that seem to be flowing inwards. The deeper we get, the more subtle. Yet they're all connected. And I would love to start with the obvious, which is the physical body, or Anna Maya Kosha. And this kosha is also translated as the food sheath. So when we think about our physical body, what are we made of? It is actually the food that we are made from. And I would love you to experience your body just as it is here on the mat. If this position becomes comfortable or uncomfortable rather after a while, please feel free to shuffle. As you are now aware at least of your big toes, extending the awareness into the whole of your feet. And with the feet and your awareness within the feet, you could choose to separate your toes and keep your legs resting. And I invite you to tighten your calf muscles now. And then relaxing them. Drawing your attention then to the forehead. And the contact of your hands to the skin of the forehead. Feeling the heart beating in your chest. Feeling the chest in contact with the mat. And now focus on an inner organ, such as your liver, your heart, or your kidneys. And try to find this organ with your attention. Really sinking your thoughts, your attention into that organ. And just as you would in a meditation, notice when you become distracted by thoughts. When this happens, notice thought to yourself and come back to sensing the organ. Noticing the settling and grounding effect of this practice. As you begin to extend the body, reaching your arms out long in front. And again, please do modify. If you need any modifications for your shoulders, it would be okay to keep the arms alongside the body, but extending them out now. So with your next inhalation, reach forward and then downwards into the toes, just lengthening through the whole body, and then soften that again as you're breathing out. I'll ask you to use the limbs on the ground now as you inhale, just to lift your head and chest slightly. You can keep the gaze downwards. And when you're exhaling, relaxing that again. With your next inhale, lifting head, chest again, but also your right arm, your left leg, doesn't have to be high. And then release that back down onto the floor. Other side, as you inhale, lift your left arm, your right leg. And on the out breath, releasing that back down. Separating your legs now so they're pointing out towards the corners of the mat. And repeating that same action with the arms, pointing them along the corners of the mat. We'll repeat now as you inhale, lift your head, chest, right arm, left leg. And exhaling to release that. Right leg, left arm, inhale, head, chest, lifting. And exhaling to release that. And now let's lift all fours as you inhale, lifting. And as you exhale, release. Let your hands come back now and place them by the sides of your ribs. Draw your feet together. And with your next inhalation, come up onto all fours. You could widen the knees out and touch the big toes back together as you reach for a wide-legged child's pose. I've chosen to stack my hands again, rest the forehead on. But you could also keep your arms extended and rest the forehead to the floor. We've created a big change now. One where we moved from all of the back bends that are quite energizing, quite strong also in the muscles, into a rounded form, a forward bend. While there's a lot going on, I would ask you to still stick with awareness of Annamaya Kosha, or your physical existence. As you allow yourself to release from here, the inhaling to come up onto all fours, bringing your knees back underneath the hips in this stance, becoming strong as always in Hasta Bandha, so that's the bases and the pads of the fingers encouraging down into the mat, and with that nourishing the strength in our hands and moving some weight away from your wrists. With your next inhalation, let your right leg extend back. Please keep a flexion in the foot for alignment of the pelvis. And as you're exhaling, draw your right knee towards your right elbow. On the inhale, rotate again the hips toes facing down. Exhaling, knee to the right elbow. Repeat that same movement for 3 more rounds. So while you're extending, you're inhaling. When you're exhaling, knee towards the elbow. Trying to stay strong, focusing on your movement with your breath. When you have completed these rounds, extend the leg back again. No need to rush to catch up. The knee now moves to the opposite elbow. On the inhale, we're extending it back. And only 2 more here. Squeeze your knee opposite elbow. On the inhale, extending the leg, and on the exhale, squeeze it back in. Then release your knee down, finding your stance on the mat. And with the next in-breath now, lifting your right arm up and opening your body out towards the side. And with the exhale, threading the needle as you come to rest down onto your ear, onto your shoulder. You can leave your hips up in the air. Option, left arm gently behind the back, keeping your gaze along the floor. Allowing yourself to feel again into the sensations. There was a fair bit of movement, so within the body you might notice the leftover energy still settling. Maybe you're also in this moment noticing the twist of the spine. Placing your hand back down onto the mat, lifting yourself again onto all fours. Spread out your fingers once more, find your solid stance on the mat. Pass the bandha back on to help with the wrists. With your next inhalation then, let's extend the left leg back again. Please turn the toes downwards, flexion of the foot. On the exhale, draw left knee to left elbow. On the inhale, reset, extend. Exhale, knee to the elbow. On the inhale, rotate, extend. 3 more. Out breath, knee towards the elbow. Going for 3 more. Your pace is your breath. Not rushing one or the other part of this breath either. And once you've completed, you're inhaling again to extend. 3 rounds, knee to the opposite elbow. Extending on the inhale and tucking knee to elbow on the exhale. Then releasing the knee back down onto all fours. And with the inhale, lifting the left arm. With the exhale, threading the needle again, resting down onto your ear, onto your shoulder. Maybe the right arm wraps gently behind the back. Allowing yourself to look along the floor. Still present within all that you can feel. From the ease to the niggle to that subtle discomfort. If ever there's any pain arising, you know what to do, you're releasing. We'll release the shape now as you bring your right hand back down. Lift yourself up onto all fours and retreat back into a child's pose. And your child's pose could have the head resting on the ground, but you could also support the head. I've just put my hands, the palms together, Anjali Mudra, and then stuck my thumbs up and I'm resting my thumbs against the third eye point. Just for a variation that will lengthen deeply across the back line as I've got a light chin tuck happening, but can also help us to keep the head a bit higher. Noticing how things are settling back down
And there's always the option of checking back in with the organ that you have chosen to focus on in the beginning. Depending on what organ that might have been. This could be dominant sensations that you're dealing with, or it could be more subtle and you really needing to visualize the organ itself. As you inhale here again, stay. And if you find this is so much more comfortable than any seated position, you could stay here, but I kind of discourage you from that. As otherwise, I'd ask you to very slowly lift your upper body. We've had the head down low for a bit, so please do take your time. And if it is uncomfortable to sit as I'm sitting Virashasana, so sitting on the heels, please do roll up your mat or even extend your legs out to the front. We will sit for a few minutes. So I would encourage you to be comfortable and upright in your seat. If this means that as we're holding you for a bit, you want to lean against something with your back to hold you there with more ease, that's very welcome. Let's close the eyes or steady the gaze if closing the eyes isn't yours. I'm inviting you now into the second sheath, or kosha. They're called fully Panchamaya koshas, which gives away, pancha being the 5, translated into English, how many sheaths the yogis believe we have. So we're tapping into the second one, away from the physical body, yet related, into pranamaya kosha. Life force is prana, breath is prana, so is prana energy. As you begin to shift your focus to the breath, instead of feeling I am breathing, feel I am being breathed. Let yourself relax into this feeling. Or tapping into the natural breath, the automatic function of breathing. I am being breathed. Yourself relax into this feeling. If you notice your breath tightening, just notice it with the thought, I am being breathed. Eventually, you may begin to feel the breath as energy. And you may sense that the body is bigger than the boundaries of the skin. This is a sign that you've entered the vital energy body. As this happens, you may find that your posture automatically readjusts itself. That your back or hips open. So all effects of consciously accessing the vital energy body. This energy body is a storehouse of healing power in our system.
with the body, sensing of being breathed. I would like to add a more active breathing practice. So if you're sitting in an easy pose like myself, you might choose to change the cross of the legs. We're practicing just a few rounds of Kapalabhati, which is that breath that sniffs out the nose. And while we do this actively and quite quick, we're pulling the lower abdomen in towards the front of the spine. So how I would start this, if you're familiar, please go ahead, is an inhale and an exhalation. Then I sniff out and pull back. And you can go as fast as you like or keep it quite slow. You can reset that at any time if you're getting lost in the technique, especially if you're not too familiar. This is quite difficult to get your head around. So please feel free to reset a few times if you need to. Next breath, inhale deeply and exhaling very slowly. And allowing yourself to reconnect again with the prana sheath or prana maya kosha. While Kapalabhati is a very active breathing technique that is set to raise the energy from the base up through the crown, it also has a passive element to it that is the in-breath. So in this technique, the in-breath has no effort behind it. All attention is on the out-breath. So we are being breathed here as well. Allowing your eyes to gently open if they were closed. Taking yourself back now onto all fours. And as you stabilize yourself here, tucking the toes under. Puppy pose is an option as you reach your tail up and back, or lifting the knees off the floor now for a downward facing dog. And you might just walk out through your legs, getting a little bit of motion into the body. And now we're focusing on both ana and prana as we focus on our physical body in combination with the breath. Let's walk the feet towards the top end of the mat. And as you're inhaling, just lengthening the spine forward. And with the out breath, folding down. Allowing yourself the exhalation and curling up of the spine. Let the shoulders lift and gently shrug back. What better way is there than a sun salutation? So to focus on the physical body moving together with the breath as a unit. So we'll do 2 rounds, one with each leg leading. If you do need to modify the sun salutations, you can drop down to your knees in any lunge, in any downward facing dog. While I won't particularly instruct that, so you all have the freedom of flow. As you inhale, lifting the arms up, optional mini back bend. Soften your knees, breathe out, folding forward, Uttanasana. On the inhale, half lift. On the exhale, stepping your right foot back into a lunge. Come to fingertips, lengthen spine, inhale. Exhale, downward dog. Inhaling, rolling forwards, plank or kneeling plank. Exhale, elbows close, lower towards the mat. Inhaling, come into cobra, upward facing dog. Exhaling, or with another breath, transitioning back into downward dog. And I'd ask you to hold in a down dog. Noticing if you need any movement. Hips can swing, even if you're on your knees. Legs can move. Last breath within your downward facing dog. With the next inhale, raising the right leg. With the exhale, bringing the foot forward. On your fingertips as you inhale, long leg, long spine. Exhaling, standing forward bend. Inhaling, half lift. Exhaling, folding again. Bend your knees a bit more, use your feet, breathe and rise again. Optional mini back bend. On the out breath, knees are soft, folding forward. On the inhale, a half lift. Exhaling, left foot steps back, lunge. On your fingertips, inhale to lengthen. Exhaling, down dog. Inhaling, roll forward, plank or kneeling plank. Exhaling, lower. Inhaling, cobra or up dog. Exhaling, happy or downward dog. Time to pause again. Move if your body requires to move. Steadiness now as you allow the shape, if that is your choice. Keep your mind with the sensations, the feedback from the body, but also your breath. I know it's a lot to think about. Keeps us in this moment though. With the next inhalation, lifting the left leg up. With the out breath, bringing the foot forward. Come again to your fingertips and just lengthen your spine, breathing in. On the out breath, step the foot to the front and fold. Half lift, inhale. Exhaling, folding again. Use the feet, bend your knees, rise up, reach your arms up, inhaling. And as you're exhaling, let the arms release down by the sides, turning the palms of the hands forward, coming to stand either with your big toes together or your feet at hip distance, aligning the outer edges of the feet to be parallel so the pelvis is forward. And what I usually do, and you might not even see that, is a tiny rocking over the feet. Kind of a habit that crept in over time, as I really want to feel the feet being grounded rather than squashed towards the floor. I would ask you to come to a similar stance where you would engage down through the 2 points at the ball of the foot and through that at the center of the heel. Leaving your body in a tall, active and yet relaxed state. You can close the eyes or steady your gaze from here. I would ask you to tap back inward and to begin and notice if your mind has changed in any shape or form. While the body is still standing and there's a gentle flow of breath, look at a situation in your life that is charged in some way. Take a mental note about your thoughts. Then consider the thoughts and ask yourself, what could I be without this thought? Notice if your breathing, your energy, your mental experience shifts. Consciously replace the thought with one that feels empowering and real. For example, I'm free to choose my attitudes, or there's another way to see this. Notice whether this new thought brings greater spaciousness to your mind. Now looked at 3 different shis or koshas: the physical, the energy, the mental body. As you gently open the eyes, I would ask you to touch the palms of your hands together now in front of your chest. To unlock both of your knees if the legs were completely straightened. To shift the weight a little bit to the left foot and to extend your right heel forward. And you could keep the heel here on the floor with the toes pulling back towards you. If you want a deeper challenge, lift the heel off the ground. Inhaling. As you're exhaling, extending your arms forward, bending your standing leg. On the inhale, rising. On the exhale, extend and bend. There's a take on a chair pose as you inhale, lifting again. On the exhale, extend. Now with the right leg forward, we'll pause here with the subtle smile on our lips. And then bring the hands to the heart, extend your leg, swing the other leg back. Landing your foot down, releasing the heel, and as you're inhaling, a warrior 2. So your toes would be more open so that the hips can open. Thinking about the strength that still arises from your feet. Maybe a gaze forward. Inhaling. And as you exhale, pull your hands towards your heart. I would ask you to turn away from me now as you swivel your feet towards the other end of the mat. Lifting the heel that formerly was at the front and reach your arms out to either side. Your choice of staying here, flying lunge, or lifting into a flying warrior 3. Aeroplane pose. Your choice. You would not see me from here, so you're now trusting a sense of hearing and your own inner perception. Let's point the toes out, land the foot down, step the other foot back, downward facing dog. And either you're taking a rest now or you're rolling forward again as you come into your plank variation. Lower down onto the mat on the exhale. You can all do that. No need to see me at all. Keep facing the back end of the mat. Inhale, lift your heart. Exhale, fold again towards the floor. Lift up on the inhale, tuck your toes. Happy or downward facing dog. I would still not be able to see your head from here, but your hips. I trust your knees are lightly bent if they're off the floor. With the next inhale now, lifting the right leg up. And with the exhale, placing the right foot forward, grounding the left heel down onto the mat. We're taking a windmill now, coming back to warrior 2, only that we're facing the back end of the mat. As you're looking away from me, you're still strong, you're trusting your own body. I'm turning the palms of the hands up to exalt the warrior. So the hand that is where you're looking at, you're bringing that up and over the head. Keeping your legs in that same position as you allow the knee to remain in alignment with your toes. We're changing again. Please bend the straight leg. Roll the upper hand towards this knee. Turn both toes out towards the long side of the mat. The outer edges are parallel with the mat. Lengthen your spine forward, inhaling. And then a standing wide-legged forward fold as you're raising out, lowering the crown of the head towards the ceiling and placing your hands underneath your shoulders. Elevating the shoulders ever so gently so they're not falling towards the ground. But everything else is about the ground. Leaning forward within your feet so the tailbone is high. And then allowing yourself to fold more. While I can see a lot of straight legs, it might feel better to have a bit of a bend in them. And please play with this. Allowing yourself a few more breaths just to deepen. Reconnecting all that we've explored so far. Physical sensations, utilizing the breath, and how your mind plays a role within this practice. As you rise up onto your fingertips again, lengthening the spine forward, return back towards the screen as you walk your hands to either side of the foot and lifting the heel for this lunge. And with the out-breath, stepping the foot forward and bowing into Uttanasana. On the inhale, go to half lift. On the exhale, fold again. I will ask you to wait for the next out breath and to use your core gently to roll up into standing. To come back up to stand, lift the shoulders on the inhale and shrug them down on the exhale, turning the palms again forward. As we arrive back in mountain pose, take the awareness right down into the feet. Notice what you need to do to properly feel the ground underneath the feet. Engage from there, back up through towards the crown of the head. Take a deep breath as if you could draw that energy from the ground up to the crown. And as you raise out, see the same happening in reverse, from the crown down to the feet. Let's soften the knees again. Bring the hands back into Anjali Mudra in front of the chest. Shifting the weight to the right and placing the left heel out in front as you draw your toes back from there. Your choice to hold here or to lift the leg a little off the ground. As we inhale, and with the exhale, extending the arms, knees can touch, bring a bend into the knee. Inhaling, rising. Exhaling, extend and bend. Inhaling, lift. Exhaling. Hold. While you bring your hands back to the heart, start to bring the leg back behind you. Then land the whole foot down and take a deep breath for warrior two as your arms might extend, coming into a solid, strong stance. Please mind your shoulders. Feel into your feet. Get the strength from the feet upwards. As we inhale, with the exhale, bring the hands to the heart. Now careful with swiveling around again, turn away from me. As you lift the other heel, open the arms out. And either stay here in a flying lunge or launch this into a warrior three. And I'd ask you to hold that warrior three. So the back leg might be lifted away from the ground. Gaze Arms wide open, toes to the ground. Then release, step that down, hands down, foot back. Downward facing dog. Again, I could see your hips poking up into the air, but not your head. And if you like to have a rest here, you can bring the knees down. Otherwise, you could enter another flow as you inhale, roll it forward. On the exhale, slowly releasing to the mat. On the inhale, your table's back bend. And you might breathe out to lower to the floor. So you inhale, come back up onto all fours, happy, or downward facing dog. Please choose your honest preference at this stage of the practice. We'll pause for a few breaths. And again, there could be an awareness into these first three sheaths, which are all connected, so we can't separate them from each other. While they might look like one of those Russian dolls where you pull out one layer after the other, you're still connected through them all. You would breathe to keep yourself alive in this physical body. You would need your thoughts and automatic functions to rely on to keep yourself in this present life. With your next inhalation now, lifting the left leg up. With the out breath, bringing the foot forward and lowering the back heel. Take a windmill as you lift back into warrior two, arms reaching out and starting to bend again, this time into the left knee. Gaze is towards the back end of the mat. This is the way you're facing. And we're turning the palms of the hands upwards and exalting the warrior as you next inhale. Reach your arm up, your gaze can turn, doesn't matter which direction. And then to release from this shape, bending the straight leg, top hand moves towards the back knee, turn the feet in, we're turning again towards the long edge of the mat, outer edges of our feet aligning with the outer edges of the mat. You can either keep your hands under the shoulders or you could take a pistol grip of your big toes. As we inhale, we're all lengthening the back towards the front. And as we're exhaling, we're folding down. If you're holding onto the big toes, the elbows will spread out to the sides, shoulders lightly lifted. If your hands are under the shoulders, the elbows will move back between your legs. It's an entirely different approach in the upper body. Allowing again a few breaths here to fold more deeply, to allow yourself to breathe, to acknowledge that there will be thoughts going through the head, there will be sensations, and the breath is inseparable anyway. With the next inhale, then come back up onto your fingertips, releasing any holds. Turning your toes back to the front end of the mat. Turn either side, the hand beside the foot. And this time, as you inhale, lengthen the spine as well. But now also placing your knees down onto the ground. So both knees on the floor, both forearms coming down. And you can choose to either keep the hands flat, elbows under the shoulders, or interlace the hands. The elbows are still underneath the shoulders, no change here. As you're on your knees, you could choose to tuck the toes under from there. Leave the arms like this and reach your hips up and back for a baby dolphin. Now, especially if there's any problems around the upper back or the shoulders, this might be a nice position for you, as you can always come a little bit out
and release the shoulders. If you're feeling fine, you could also lift the knees off the ground for a full dolphin. I would love to use this shape just to keep the head low for a few breaths. Nothing big here, but an inversion of which you can choose the intensity. Allowing hips to reach up and back, no matter what you have chosen to do. And allowing the downward flow of energy towards the head, which in the end is the purpose of the inversion, to get more blood supply into the head without the effort of the heart. A way that's set to help us stay young and fit. And with your next inhalation, let your knees drop down if they were lifted, untuck your toes and curl yourself back, hips towards the heels. If you like, you can stack your fists from there and place the forehead now onto stacked fists. I would do that purposefully, so to realign the head back with the heart and find some kind of level. Allowing the breath to move the body. Observing the mind as it is continuously wandering around. Placing your hands back down and lifting yourself up into sitting while taking your legs out long in front. Now I'm sitting sideways, but that's not yours to do. If you've got the space, please sit closer to the front end of the mat. Also to take the back end of the mat and roll that up so you can elevate your hips. I highly recommend that. If you don't want to use the mat, you might have a cushion nearby that you can pop under. So placing the hands by the sides and just walking out through the sit bones. Flexing through the feet. Your legs can be straight, but they can also have a bend in the knees depending on what's right for you. Keep the fingertips grounded and kind of lean into your sit bones. So that's not leaning backwards necessarily, but not forward either. Keep the crown of the head reaching upwards. We'll then take the back of the right hand and place that to the inside of our right leg. And then we're inhaling to turn the body to look at the left toes. We're exhaling here. And with the next inhale, the left arm can raise, otherwise into the side of the waist. And with the out breath, then letting the back of the hand slide down the inside of the leg for a good side bend. We've done enough forward bending. I would like you to open more through the side body. If this is comfortable for you, just stay and breathe. But try and lower both sides sit bones towards the ground, especially the left ones, as that will help us to extend the side body. Arm doesn't have to be extended, as mentioned before, and can be in the side of the waist. I would encourage you to allow a few more breaths here. Then very slowly, as you breathe in, slide yourself back to sit, place your fingertips back down and find your sit bones once more. You will feel slightly out of balance, perfectly normal. Placing the back of the left hand against the leg. And as you inhale, start to turn towards your right toes and breathe out to stay there. Option, right hand to the side or arm extending up on the inhale. And then letting the back of the hand slide down the inside of the leg as you're exhaling. Reaching over the extended leg. Too strong for the shoulder, upper back. Have the right hand in the side of the waist.
Still extending into the side body. Breathe. Keep your toes pointing upwards, legs in alignment. Few more breaths. You can turn the gaze in any direction to accommodate the sensations in the neck. With the next breath, sliding back up into sitting, bringing your legs a little bit closer. And if you did listen, you would be sitting closer towards the front end of the mat. And I would ask you to lower your body down now onto your back while bringing both knees into the chest for a good hug and a squeeze. You might choose to rock a little bit from side to side. If you like, you can keep your knees over the chest and open the arms out. If you prefer, you can place your feet down onto the floor. Letting your knees rock a little bit from side to side as a counteraction to the forward bending. And if your neck is happy with that, I suggest you're also rolling the head from side to side, but you're keeping the head grounded. If movement doesn't serve you at this stage, you could also hold to one side for a bit. And then changing sides. As you then return and center your body, the wide out arms might slide in just a little bit. So the arms stay away from the body. You can maybe squeeze the shoulder blades a little bit underneath to broaden the shoulders down onto the floor. If you prefer your knees bent, take your feet out mat distance and leave your knees touching together. If you prefer full shavasana or resting over a bolster, the legs can extend. Unless your knees are touching together, the legs will completely separate as well. So the only thing that you're really feeling here is any contact to the floor and any contact toward closing. So you allow yourself to come into an easier state or shavasana, corpse pose, fully resting. If you like to follow along with the Koshas, you can follow my words. I understand if you prefer the stillness and would like to stick with your breath. If you like to follow into Vijnana Maya Kosha, notice that something in you observes that you are lying here. That same observing eye is also aware of your thoughts, your mood, the way your body feels, and your energy level. It knows all this without being involved in it. As you embody awareness, notice if you can contain all the other levels of experience without getting attached to their meaning or outcome. letting go of being the observer of that. And ask yourself, where's bliss? Ask in an open-ended way and tune into the subtle feelings of tenderness, joy, contentment that can show up in the most unexpected of moments. Have yourself open to the possibility that bliss is your true nature. Don't worry if there's no immediate answer or response. This body takes time to reveal itself. Sometimes it takes years of practice to reach this state, yet it can come alive at any moment. And the bliss body reveals itself. It can seem miraculous, like a gift, and yet completely natural. Your essence is innately blissful. You may need to learn how to turn deep inside, though, to recognize it. Staying with this deep sense of awareness of your bliss body. Knowing that this pure bliss lies within us, finding your way back to the observer, to the thoughts, to the energy and breath, and the physical body. Like you can deepen your breathing, reach out long for a few times, or just moving the body a little, extending yourself in preparation to bend the knees, rolling over to your side. And then coming up to sit from there. I would ask you in that seated form to touch the palms or the fingertips down either side of your body. Staying in strong physical contact to keep you grounded. And with your next breath, circling the arms out and embracing all of these levels of your own existence, touching the hands together and drawing that back in towards your heart, thumbs lightly touching the saddle bow of the head. Take a deep breath. And on the exhalation, we're extending from this understanding to each other. Namaste.